So Furina's been out for a little while now, and you have no clue how she works. Well, you're in the right place. My name's Kazahana, and in this video I'm going to be showing you everything you need to know of the new 5-star Furina. We're going to be talking about her playstyle, best artifacts, optimal team comps, and more, to really help you get the most out of your Furina with what you've got. After playing with her for a few days, that sounds so wrong, I've really enjoyed all of her abilities and definitely think she's a high tier character, who could possibly be a must pull in the future. Before this video begins, I just want to say if you found this video helpful, then please consider leaving a like and even subscribing for even more guides. So let's get into it. What makes Furina so different from many of the other characters in Genshin Impact is her ability to change forms on the field, with her having a Pneuma and Dosia state, which have two different abilities, and also allowed to deal Pneuma and Dosia aligned attacks, which can be very useful when fighting certain enemies in Fontaine. The way you can change between these two modes is simply by doing a charge attack, where she'll do a quick animation which lets you change as many times as you like. Dosia is more than likely going to be the alignment you're going to be using the most, as it provides you with a much more offensive ability, where she summons 3 Salon members, with them being Gentle Home Usher, Surintendant Cheval Moran, and finally Mademoiselle Cravaletta. These creatures will fight alongside you, dealing hydro damage based off your max HP, which will be a very important part when we get to Furina's build. The creatures take turns attacking and actually do an incredible amount of damage, and obviously applying hydro very fast and consistently. These Salon members also drain the HP of other characters in your party, giving them a huge damage boost, but only if the character in your party is above 50% HP, meaning it's essential to have a healer in your party in order to keep your HP above 50%, else you'll be missing out on a massive damage boost. The great thing about Furina's elemental skill is how much AoE potential it has, with her initially releasing a burst of AoE hydro damage when summoning her creatures, while the creatures themselves also deal a bit of AoE damage too, with each of them having a different amount they deal. Her Pneuma state is very different, as it's much more healing based rather than damage, which can be useful in some cases. Her elemental skill will instead summon a Singer of Many Waters, which will heal your active character based on your max HP, but when thinking about using Furina to her full potential, this ability isn't the most helpful, but it can be useful for stuff like exploration when you can't be bothered to teleport all the way over to the Statue of the Seven or use your food. Now for Furina's elemental burst, which is one of the main reasons why she could be such a great character for your team. Let the people rejoice, just like her elemental skill will initially deal AoE damage, which admittedly doesn't do the most spectacular amount of damage, but this isn't the main feature of her burst, as it will also cause your party to enter the Universal Reverie state, which lasts for a whole 18 seconds and a 15-second cooldown, meaning with the right amount of energy recharge, you could be popping your burst for 100% of the time, which is insane. Furina gains fanfare points when your party members increase or decrease in HP, which will in turn increase the damage that your party members do, as Furina provides a massive damage boost the more fanfare points she gains, with each fanfare stat giving you 0.25% damage boost to everyone, and this burst alone makes her super viable in a ton of different teams. As for leveling priority, I'd suggest that leveling Furina's burst will be your #1 priority, with her skill being very close behind, as leveling Furina's burst will allow you to get a larger amount of damage bonus, and will benefit your whole team much more. But leveling Furina's elemental skill is also important, due to this being her main source of damage. Furina's normal attack isn't super important, but if you're a big Furina simp and wanted to do some normal attack damage too, then go ahead, but only after you've leveled the former. Onto her passives. Endless Waltz allows Furina to help out when you use another healer in your party, with her healing 2% of the character's max HP when healing's overflowing, which can really help, especially whenever you consider the fact that fanfare stacks are produced from the change of HP. Unheard Confession pretty much gives a damage boost to Furina's elemental skill, providing that she has more HP, making it vital that she's built the highest HP you can, and it will also help with her Pneuma healing elemental skill too. And finally, the most important part being that she can walk on water. I mean, this has got to be one of the coolest abilities she has, with you being able to walk on top of any bodies of water when using your elemental skill, and this effect stays for a very long time, meaning you're able to have 100% uptime provided that you keep pressing your elemental skill every now and again. And it also means that Kai's ice bridging has just been power crept. So, if you want to make the most out of her playstyle and these talents, then you're going to need a good build. First, for her weapons, the Splendor of Tranquil Waters is by far her best 5-star weapon, and I mean, I hope it would, seeing as it's her signature weapon. This weapon allows Furina to deal more elemental skill damage when her HP increases or decreases, and this can even be triggered while Furina's off field. These HP related effects paired with the super high amount of crit damage is what makes this weapon so great, so I definitely suggest pulling for it. But other 5-stars like the Primordial Jade Cutter, the Key of Karshan Suit, the Mistsplitter Reforged, and a few more can also be a great option, as they all can help to boost Furina's crit stats while also offering some pretty useful effects. Festering Desire is definitely Furina's best 4-star weapon, with it providing a good amount of energy recharge, which like I mentioned before, Furina needs, while also having an effect which boosts the damage and crit rate of her elemental skill, making it an amazing weapon as an alternative. But this weapon came out ages ago, meaning that not everyone will have it, but if you do, you are very lucky. But some other 4-stars like the Fleur de Centre Ferryman can also work great, especially if you're free to play, as you can obtain it by fishing and get it to refinement rank 5, and others like the Wolf's Fang and the Dockhand's Assistant can be pretty easy to get while also being a very good alternative. For our artifact sets, 4-piece Golden Troop is by far Furina's best set, as it massively increases the overall damage of her elemental skill, and boosts it even further when she isn't on the field, which will be happening quite a lot with Furina, which makes this set a perfect match. And seeing as the Marechaussee Hunter set is also in the same domain, it's not bad to farm, as you can use the other pieces on many current and future Fontaine characters, which you might want to build, meaning that nothing really goes to waste. Some other sets like Tenacity of the Millilith, Emblem of Sever Fate, and Heart of Depth can also be some pretty good options too, just due to their ability to provide stats like HP percent and hydro damage bonus, which is something that Furina would need. But if you really want her optimal set, then I'd just stick with Golden Troop, as I'm pretty sure Genshin designed it around Furina's kit. When looking for artifact stats to use on Furina, it really depends. One key stat that Furina needs is energy recharge, but they're ideally needing around 180% energy recharge if you're planning on running her as a solo hydro unit. This energy recharge will allow Furina to get her burst up fast, which can be perfect perfect for having a constant damage boost, making it essential that you have this amount of energy recharge. With that in mind, for Furina stands, you either want to run energy recharge or HP percent. If you're low on energy recharge, then I'd definitely recommend going for energy recharge, as it will allow your team to do so much more damage. But if you have enough, HP percent can also be great, as it will allow Furina to do more damage herself. As I mentioned before, that her elemental skill increases in damage the more HP she has. For Furina's goblet, you have a couple of options, being hydro damage bonus and HP percent. To get the most out of your Furina, I'd definitely suggest favoring HP percent, as it can work really well with her skills. But if you have a hydro damage piece that has amazing substats, then sometimes it can work just as good, meaning it is really up to you which one you choose to run. But HP percent does tend to be an easier piece to get, especially with good substats. And finally, for Furina's circlet, crit rate or crit damage is the stat that you want to be aiming for, obviously depending on how much crit rate and crit damage you already have from your substats, weapons and more. HP percent can also be a useful option, as it will increase the damage boost to your elemental skill. But again, I suggest a crit stat to get a good amount of damage for your Furina. And finally, we're going to talk about the best team comps that go Furina, and give you a few options including free-to-play teams. Furina fits perfectly into a vaporized team, especially when running over characters like Hu Tao, Yelan and Zhongli. Although this team is full of 5 stars, it can work extremely well, allowing Hu Tao to pretty much soak up all the buffs from her teammates. Furina will obviously be providing a damage boost for her elemental burst, Yelan will allow for extra hydro application on enemies, and Zhongli will be able to provide a shield for Hu Tao, while also shredding defense, which is going to let you deal a ton more damage for Hu Tao, who will be the main damage dealer in the team. For a more free-to-play option, a Hyper Bloom team could be easily achieved, with Fischl, Yao Yao, Sucrose, and obviously Furina. The overall damage Hyper Bloom does is insane, and whether you're just free-to-play or new to the game, it can really help boost your overall damage output, and could even be good in the Spiral Abyss. Sucrose will be your buffer and battery, while also providing you with a ton of crowd control. Fischl will then provide the electro needed for the team as a sub DPS. Furina will obviously be dealing a ton of damage while providing hydro, and Yao Yao will be the Dendro enabler, while also providing healing for the team, which also boosts the overall damage of Furina and her teammates. And obviously you can kind of pick and choose who you add to these teams, as you might have been really lucky and got a character like Raiden who can replace Fischl in this team, and there's actually quite a lot of other characters you can replace in this team, making it really flexible for free-to-play players. And Furina can actually work in a ton more different teams, and it's also worth noting she also works extremely well with Neuvillette, which is kind of unsurprising given the bond the two have in the Genshin Impact lore, meaning that teams with him and a lot of other DPS heavy characters can also be super viable. Anyways, I hope this guide has helped you to understand Furina's kit and playstyle better, as I know it can look super confusing, and that you can now go out and farm for the right things to even further improve her, as I think Furina is an extremely good character who works for many different player types, making her such an amazing character to pull for. But anyways, if you did find this video helpful, then don't forget to leave a like and even subscribe to see more videos like this in the future, as I make a ton of different Genshin Impact content. And if you need even more help building your characters, then join my Discord below, where we have a ton of friendly staff and community members willing to help. So what are you waiting for? That's all. See ya!